Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Let's dive right back into the story. After sorting out his thoughts at Kunlun Mountain, Xian wasn't wasting any time. He summoned his befang bird and took off like a shot, heading straight for the Western Sea. We know what that means, and things are about to get interesting over there. Meanwhile, back in the Heavenly Palace, Bai Qian had a really rough night. She was tossing and turning, unable to get any peace. And just as she finally drifted off, a panicked Nai burst in and woke her up. The cause of the panic: our little rice dumpling, Ali. It turns out, after Ali had that fruit wine yesterday, Nai followed Bai Qian's orders and took him back to rest. But hours went by, and then more hours, and Ali was still out cold. To make matters worse, his little face was getting redder and redder.
By morning.
Nai was completely beside herself with worry, and had no choice but to bring the sleeping Ali to Bai Qian. Bai Qian, now fully awake, gently felt Ali's pulse. A small sigh escaped her lips. It seemed she had seriously overestimated the little guy's tolerance for alcohol. She had assumed that for any normal child, such a small amount of fruit wine would wear off in a few hours. But Ali! Nope. He was proving to be a real lightweight. At this rate, he probably wouldn't wake up until the next morning. Seeing Nai's terrified expression, Bai Qian quickly reassured her. She explained that his flushed face was just a sign that the alcohol was working its way through his system. Don't worry, she said softly. He's just sleeping it off. Bai Qian then noticed how exhausted Nai looked. The poor fairy had probably Ali's peaceful, sleeping face. A wave of emotion washed over her. For hundreds of years, the Hua had been raising this child all on his own, playing the part of both father and mother. It must have been incredibly difficult. Her heart ached a little for him. The next day arrived, and just as promised, Nai came back with the porridge. Ali was still asleep, but thankfully, his feverish heat had subsided, and the color was returning. With a lie in Nai's capable hands, Bai Qian agreed and made her way to the Heavenly Springs. But here's the thing about the Heavenly Palace: you're never truly alone. The moment Bai Qian stepped out of Yilan Fanghua, another figure slipped in. It was Su Jin. Even though she's terrified of Bai Qian now, her desire to hold on to her position as the Hua's concubine is stronger. To defeat her enemy, she needs to understand her. And what better way than to snoop around when she thinks no one is watching? Oh, this is not going to end well. Su Jin had come to Yilan Fanghua under the guidance of immortal energy, specifically to pay her respects to her aunt, Bai Qian. Hua had specifically instructed her not to allow Su Jin to approach Yilan Fanghua or Yilan. Nai did her best to prevent Su Jin from entering Yilan Fanghua, even telling her that her aunt had gone to Shengqing Realm and was not currently in the inn. Su Jin only knew that Lingbao Tianzun had closed Shengqing Realm for a long time. And now that the Hua had even reopened Tianquan for Bai Qian, her jealousy intensified. Bai Qian was walking along the road when she saw two young celestial maidens from some palace ahead, whispering and gossiping. Bai Qian stopped to listen carefully and discovered they were talking about her. The two ignorant maidens calmly told her maid that gossiping about gods behind their backs was the most taboo thing in the Heavenly Palace, and that these two maidens were no longer fit to stay there. She ordered them to be sent away. Only then would things be pleasant, but her mood for soaking in the hot spring was also ruined, and Ailey was not by her side, so was mostly boring. Bai Qian returned to Yilan Fanghua to find some books to pass the time. Why didn't she go to find the Medicine King? Or tell him? Bai Qian thought that it wasn't a big deal for a child to be drunk. She told the Hua that Aaliyah was just a child and there was no need to be so nervous. She said that when she was a child, she would secretly drink Xian's wine and sleep for 4 or 5 days, which was perfectly normal. As she spoke, Bai Qian added, "The Hua! If you spoil Lali like this, he will become effeminate when he grows up." The Hua ought to worry that Ali was just drunk and needed a hangover remedy, and would wake up before dusk. The Hua's anxious heart finally settled down. Lian song, knowing that the Hua had hurriedly carried Ali out of Yilan Feng Hua, thought something had happened to Ali, and rushed over in a panic. He was relieved to learn that Ali was just drunk, only to see the Hua, with a dark face and a heavy heart. The heavenly emperor asked the Emperor Siming how his tribulation was going. Siming calculated that the emperor was currently on a trip to the mortal realm when he was assassinated. The heavenly emperor and the others laughed and said that this fate was well written. As the ruler of heaven and earth, the emperor had never been defeated. Now, thinking about her future trip to Dongjing to find the divine herb for Yuan knew. Rouge told Xilan that she was moving away. Xilan was unsure whether he wanted to stay by Rouge's side to find Su Jin's whereabouts or simply to stay with her. Xilan told Rouge that he had no parents anyway, and he would accompany. When Feng Jiu woke up, the emperor showed her a small box containing the arrow that Feng Jiu had shielded him from that night. The emperor told Feng Jiu that he would keep this for the rest of his life. Nai returned from the UAS place and reported to Bai Qian that Ali had woken up. Bai Qian was also worried about Ali, so she went to Zai Chun Palace to visit him. In Zai Chun Palace, Consort Lisu and Su Jin were taking care of Ali. Consort Lisu could unhelp but complain about
Bai Qian when she saw that Ali was drunk.
After all, she was a woman who had never given birth and didn't know how to take care of a child.
The Hua explained on Bai Qian's behalf that she did not do it on purpose.
When Consort Lisu heard Su Jin say that the goddess Bai Qian looked very similar to Ali's birth mother, she became uneasy.
Lady Lexu was taking care of Ali in Zichin Palace.
She heard from Su Jin that the goddess Bai Qian looked exactly like Susu, and worriedly asked the Hua if he had mistaken her for Susu. Her as anyone else. Lady Lexu was relieved to hear this.
Bai Qian came to Zichin Palace to see Ali, but was told that Lady Lexu was also there.
Bai Qian thought she had come at the wrong time and left.
Just as she was leaving, she saw Lady Lexu and Su Jin chatting and laughing, appearing to be a harmonious mother-in-law and daughter-in-law, as they walked on with a serious expression.
Jian told the Western Sea Lord and Daifeng
that he had a way to save the prince and would be leaving for a few hours to bring back an envoy to care for him. The Water Lord and Daifeng were deeply grateful for Jian's life-saving grace. After everyone left, Bai Zuan told Jian that the prince's illness was very strange, but he couldn't explain why. Jian looked meaningfully at the prince on the sickbed and slowly said, "The eldest son of the Father God, the war god of the 4 seas and 8 desolations, Mo Yuan, is being nourished by a trace of the prince's immortal energy." Jian couldn't help but sigh. Mo Yuan, do you know that for the past 70,000 years your disciples have scattered across the land searching for you? Bai Qian returned to Yilan Fan Hua and fell asleep on the bed. In her dream, she was on the battlefield of the Great War with the Winged Realm 70,000 years ago. Bai Qian, who was still Yin, watched her 9th senior brother fall helplessly before her eyes. Her beloved master left her with the words, "Wait for me," and then resolutely sealed the Eastern Emperor Bell with her primordial spirit.
When she woke up, Bai Qian's heart was still aching.
She thought that she hadn't dreamed of the Great War in a long time. What was wrong with her today? After Jian and Beijing settled the eldest prince, Jian was about to go to the Heavenly Palace to bring Bai Qian back when Beijing stopped him, looking worried. She said that now that the Hua and Bai Qian were engaged, even though Mo Yuan was Bai Qian's master, what would the Hua think if he knew that his wife had gone to such lengths for another man? Jian thought that this was indeed the case, and it seemed that he needed to see the Hua before going to find Zhao Wu. Jian arrived at the Heavenly Palace and found the Hua. He bluntly told the Hua that Mo Yuan was about to awaken. The Hua was shocked by this news, but his face remained as cold as ever. Jian, thinking of Bai Qian, specifically asked the Hua if he had anything to ask him. The Hua lowered his head and said no. Although Jian wasn't particularly familiar with the Hua, he understood the Hua's reserved nature. Jian reminisced about the time he took Bai Qian to Kunlun Mountain to become Mo Yuan's disciple. At that time, Bai Bai Qian didn't think Mo Yuan was the majestic war god she had imagined. She even dared to say to Mo Yuan's face that her master was just like a pretty boy from a mortal novel. Jian asked the Hua if he had ever considered that he was Mo Yuan. The Hua replied without hesitation that he hadn't.
Jian chuckled, saying that he had mistaken him for someone else before.
And even after seeing the Hua's primordial spirit yesterday, he was still in a daze. After telling the Hua these things, Jian felt he should go to Bai Qian and tell her the news he had been waiting for 70,000 years. Suddenly, the Hua's voice came from behind him. Is there any way to make the high god Mo Yuan wake up sooner? Jian was puzzled. He had thought that even if the Hua wouldn't want Mo Yuan to wake up, he certainly wouldn't want him to wake up so soon. After all, he was another person Bai Qian longed for. The Hua looked at Qian and said, word by word, this is Qian's long-cherished wish for 70,000 years. The sooner Mo Yuan wakes up, the less Qian has to wait.
Qian told the Hua
that there was a way, requiring their celestial clan's sacred artifact, the soul-binding lamp. Bai Qian had intended to visit Ali, but the thought of the Hua wronging and aggrieving her made her furious. She decided to go to Shangqing realm instead. Just as she was about to leave, she saw Su Jin gracefully walk in, repeatedly saying, finally, I've seen you, sister. She had intended to come and pay her respects earlier that morning, but hadn't managed to meet you. Bai Qian didn't like Su Jin's appearance, and the repeated calls of sister only made her more annoyed. She replied dismissively, since you're so eager to pay your respects, why didn't you pay your respects when you saw me in the study yesterday? Why are you only coming now? Su Jin's smiling face stiffened for a moment, and she forced a smile, saying, the heavenly palace is different from other places. There are many rules.
The Emperor didn't mention this to me, so I didn't recognize you yesterday.
I apologize for being late. Bai Qian sneered, thinking that the concubine's words were indeed watertight.
Bai Qian stroked the fan in her hand and said,
Then you should bow to me according to the rules of the heavenly clan. Su Jin was stunned for a while and said, Sister, you have already bowed. Bai Qian found this very funny. From the moment she entered the room until now, she had only bowed slightly. Was that all she had done, to pay respects to her, the future principal wife of the heavenly clan and the goddess of the 4 seas and 8 desolations?
Bai Qian was dissatisfied but did not make things too difficult for her.
She vaguely saw Jian appear at her door. Before she could speak, she saw Su Jin, who had been standing gracefully, kneel down at Bai Qian's feet with a thud.
Bai Qian, puzzled, asked, what are you doing?
Su Jin feigned gratitude and said, This bow is to thank my benefactor.
Eli lost his mother at a young age, and I heard he has adopted you as his mother. I hope you will be understanding.
Back then, the Emperor was deeply in love with Eli's mother and jumped off the Juxian terrace with her,
remaining unconscious for over 60 years.
This garden full of peach blossoms was planted for Eli's. It's not a matter of responsibility or not.
Furthermore, I always receive the worship of the 4 seas and 8 desolations, according to the rules of
I bathe and burn incense 3 days in advance, and then perform the 3 kneelings and 9 counts. This ceremony isn't grand, but even your husband, the Hua, bows to me in this way, and I can accept it. Execution platform, his soul scattered.
Bai Qian wondered, given the Hua's personality, why didn't he just kill Su Jin with his sword?
Unexpectedly, Nai calmly replied, he did. She told Bai Qian about how the Hua had stabbed Su Jin years ago.
Bai Qian sighed. The Hua is truly a romantic. Bai Qian was delayed by Su Jin's actions in her journey to Shangqing realm. Just as she was about to leave, she saw Jian returning. Jian chuckled, saying he hadn't seen Bai Qian act so childishly in years, and that he found it quite amusing to hear her overhearing from the corner. Jian left Bai Qian alone for a talk. Bai Qian noticed the expression on Jian's face, and her heart stirred. 300 years ago, Jian had used the same expression to tell her that her master was about to awaken, but she had waited bitterly for 300 years. Jian understood the bitterness in waiting in Bai Qian's heart. He earnestly told Bai Qian that the thing she had longed for 70,000 years was truly about to come true. Mo Yuan was truly coming back. Jian tells Bai Qian that he discovered Mo Yuan's soul in the Western Sea. Although Mo Yuan sealed the Eastern Emperor Bel with his primordial spirit. And logically, Mo Yuan should no longer exist in this world. Mo Yuan left behind the words, "Wait for me," for his fellow disciples. Jian, raised by the Father God and growing up alongside Mo Yuan, understands Mo Yuan's character very well. Since Mo Yuan left those words, it proves that he must have a way to preserve his soul. For the past 10,000 years, Jian has never given up searching for Mo Yuan's soul. And finally, he discovered that Mo Yuan's soul was within the body of the first prince. She was truly afraid that her eager anticipation would be in vain once again. The Hua quietly arrived outside the gate of Yilan Feng Hua. And, seeing Qian in such a state, felt a pang of sadness in his heart.
Upon hearing the news brought by Jian, Bai Qian naturally knew she couldn't stay in the Nine Heavens any longer.
However, having just argued with the Hua, it would be too petty of her to simply leave. So, Bai Qian decided to leave a letter before heading to the Western Sea with Qian. The Hua was heartbroken after reading Bai Qian's letter. "Qian, are you really leaving me?" Lian Song came to the UAA, asking for his help with a thorny issue. It was the Hua's cousin, Ziyu. Ziyu had learned that the emperor constantly worrying about how to help the emperor overcome his love tribulation. One day, Crown Prince Yuan Zuan came before her. Feng Jiu asked him long. He still thought of her. Yuan Zuan showed Feng Jiu the broken cloud fan that Bai Qian had given him before she left. For some reason, the broken cloud fan suddenly malfunctioned and displayed its magic. In order to protect Yuan Zuan and subdue the fan, Feng Jiu accidentally tripped over a stool and fell to the ground.
Just then, the Emperor arrived at the heavenly prison to fetch her.
Think Su Jin is hoping to find. Let me know your theories in the comments below.
It was great chatting with you all today.
If you enjoyed this, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss the next part of the story. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.